the whole point of the presentation is the notion of divine is sort of critical in the entire perspective of ritual, right? So I'll just share it again. So a lot of this, like what the discussion that has already preceded here, so give very specific response on why the word ritual is actually misleading. So a brief background. So a lot of this work is again inspired by BIVS, so which is again based out of Bangalore. Well, this is the sort of structure of the talk I wanted to sort of present. So I put the presentation link to Sridhar ji. You probably shared with the participants. So just skip through most of the content here to come to the core crux of the argument. So the ritual word itself is misleading, like Nagaraj ji already mentioned. The study of ritual Mimamsa actually can be seen as a case study of an Indian knowledge system interpreted in English. And they sort of have used, in fact, have twisted Mimamsa to be the actual as the source of all evil in Indian society today. And how that happens, etc. There is sort of a playbook going on in the whole Indology sphere of the last 2 centuries. So I'll probably briefly touch upon that. The whole nature of divinity in Mimamsa, right, which is not there in many of the argument tradition. And how does this whole Sheshwara Mimamsa perspective from the Sri Vaishnava tradition actually bring sort of difference to the entire arguments? This sort of I want to sort of stress upon, right? So now ritual, actually the key thing is to understand is ritual is a very different cosmological basis. So all the arguments that why it is different, etc., simply because the ritual today cannot be compared with any non-Vedic system. One of the reasons I sort of also take probably not very happy with, would not be happy with the ritual studies is simply because the ritual in the Indian sense is true simply because we see the world as a living entity. All the systems do not see the cosmos as living the way we see it. Okay, so ritual is to see as a conscious engagement with the Jagat. So it's got basis in all the traditional systems also. And the key thing is ritual, like already previously mentioned, it causes dharma. Right? The whole harmony of the system is recreated by dharma. So any arguments for and against ritual, so need to have this basis. Right? So do you have the wave particle basis of modern science versus the Purusha conscious Prakriti, right? From which Rita and Dharma and then Karma ritual emanate. So that is the entire basis for having arguments for and against ritual. And this whole notion of validation. So the Vedic tradition says first person empirical only. Modern science does not allow it. So even analyzing it using modern science methods is sort of a waste of time in a different sense. So next thing is proof of data collected over generations, history of lifestyles, experiences, achieved, lives lived, dharma provoked, lived, experienced as basis of collective memory of a civilization cannot be washed away, or rather wished away. Right? So this notion of karma and rebirth is critical. So if you're not acknowledging this, there is actually no basis for most of the ritual, other than general well-being. Okay. So next thing is, so let's say we want to say, I'll sort of skip through the entire section, sort of already discussed very well by Nagaraj ji. So the whole notion of Vedic hermeneutics, right? So Mimamsa actually literally means Dharma Jigyasa and sort of allows us to do what is called as Dharma Jigyasa. Right? So how do we understand, excavate, interpret, or even provoke Dharma to happen? So Dharma, again, like I said this previously, something emanates from the natural harmony of the universe. So unless you sort of internalize the fact that the universe is a living entity which has its own harmony from which dharma comes, none of these Indians' way of doing karma rituals even makes sense. And even to do a comparative study will not make sense unless there's an alignment with the basic cosmology. So science does not have a cosmology, nor do any other non-Vedic system have a cosmology of a living world, of a living Jagat. So very, very different. Right? So I'll sort of skip through all of this. So a lot of Indologists have done a lot of mischief, yes, so we can't help it, it's been happening. So the key thing is, so Mimamsa has been interpreted and weaponized, right? So history of West Indology, West William James onwards, the history of misinterpretation, generations of British, Dutch, French, German, Russian, Indology, right, Max Miller, and then take a new level after that. So they sort of read whatever they wanted to read into it. Mimamsa is positioned as the primary cause of all ills. So the playbook goes something like, so even day for yesterday, for example, you have this Brahminical media hashtag trending on Twitter, for example. Right? Even today, it powers the discourse that Varna equal to caste is oppression, caste is bad, so the Brahmin is bad, right? So the Mimamsa is bad, so all samskara is bad, so karma dharma is bad, right? Which is what Chariji was saying in the morning. So therefore, the SBNR is sort of forced by the narrative above him that precedes him, right? So SBNR is given escape space. That leads to what is called as anything goes Hinduism. Anything and everything is Hinduism today, right? Anybody can say whatever they want to do and call it Hinduism. So this sort of how the whole nature of Mimamsa and the nature of ritual has been sort of weaponized over the last couple of centuries. Right? So key thing to understand is not only about karma ritual, right? So like Nagaraji said, it's all authority. Again, a lot of basic stuff of Vedic hermeneutics. So key thing is relevance to current times, right? So word analysis is one. So another thing is conflict resolution techniques. It's useful in settling legal disputes, property matters, inheritance, marriage. Even example of praising something is provoking action. Right? Similar to that, there are over 1,000 such maxims in Mimamsa codified for modern use or can be used in modern times, for example. Right? So I don't want to go into the history of Mimamsa, how it evolved, etc., etc. Just to give an idea of what it was. Right? So the evolution of Mimamsa, it wasn't even called Mimamsa initially, right? So investigation of inquiry, then how did this sort of historical analysis of what Mimamsa actually meant. Right? So the Bhashya period, post-Bhashya period, what really happened, all of that. Right? So now I come to, so what, given all of that, so what is, also like I discussed previously, it's Vedic hermeneutics. But key thing is, this whole notion of knowing oneself and knowing the desire for knowledge, right? Unless there is a systematic analysis of knowledge, knowledge cannot be gained. Right? So what Nagaraja already said in the morning about the whole Karma Kanda, Brahma Kanda stuff. The key thing is, now, is that the only view that the tradition has? Right? So now that is something we'll sort of examine in the remaining time. So Mimamsa accepts the eternity of the Vedas and the binding nature of the doctrines and commands contained in them. So Pura Mimamsa, for example, starts off with Athato Dharma Jigyasa. So it says, so now we start to begin inquiry into what actually Dharma is. Whereas the Uttara Mimamsa, so-called, is supposed to, is rather starts with Athato Dharma Jigyasa. Now what's the difference between these two? Are they different? Should they be kept different, or are they the same? Right?
Sudarshanji, gentle interruption again. I think we'll have to speed up again because
I'm finishing.
It'll be interesting to hear your basic thrust of your argument and your conclusion so that we can.
Right. So the key thing is, so it's divided into this Purva and Uttara Mimamsa. Is it really, again, like I said, is it really two different texts or two different traditions? Right. So one of the traditions of Ramanujacharya says no. Like they are not the two different things; they are actually the same. Right. So he gives the example of Rahu and all that. So again, a lot of this is standard polemic. So how do you see them together? Ekashastra, right? The key thing is, again, the traditional argument says the Mimamsa do not acknowledge the existence of something specifically divine. A lot of this again discussed that why rituals is bad and why a lot of reactions happen in society. Right? So the role of samskara and karma gets affected because of this. And sort of darshanas are not understood in unity. So allows for many devious Western interpretations to take root. Right? So examples are seen earlier. So what exactly is this Mimamsa with God and Mimamsa without God? Right? The Sheshwara, Nidishwara Mimamsa. Right? This is a, let's say, 13th century text by Vedanta Desika. This is called Sheshwara Mimamsa. This argument is a 700-year-old argument. So it sort of rejects an Nidishwara Vada and says, now how do you sort of formalize the misunderstanding caused by the Advaitic understanding of the Pura, that the Pura Mimamsa is different from the Uttara Mimamsa. Right? So I sort of given details of the exact arguments per se. The key takeaway should be, they are to be seen as one text. So Gemini and Badarayana both are disciples of the same Guru, Vyasa. So the complete picture. So the key thing is there's something called Devata Kanda in between, which sort of nobody stresses, which is the link between the Karma and the Brahma Kanda. Right? So the whole chapters of 12, 4, and 4, all three have to be seen together as one text. Right? The good thing is, luckily, there are no English translations yet. So as yet, the argumentation of Sheshar Mimamsa is uncorrupted by Indology. Right? So you have a few scholars like Eliza Freshy and Francis Tony who are sort of trying to make initial attempts to even sort of corrupt this Unitarian understanding. Right? How it goes, sort of detailed in the text. So key takeaway for me should be this whole karma leading you towards the Brahman will not happen unless there is divinity in between. The Devata is the one which will give you phala. So this is the perspective of Sheshar Mimamsa. You cannot go from karma to Brahman without a divinity being in between. Right? So Brahman is not reachable without karma, but even unless the divinity is acknowledged, it is not reachable. This is the basis of all karma and agama. So a lot of the arguments of the Vishishtadvaita comes from the Pancharatra agamas also. So they have very strong agama basis also for creating this Vedantic Drishti. Right? So a lot of other content on this whole Mimamsa story, the structure of the text. I'm not going to all of that. That's sort of the key thing. So takeaway for all participants should be without the submersion in the divine. Right? So all Indology, Sanskrit studies, Mimamsa are relevant and subject to biblical inspired philological reasoning work. Right? Jesuit works, William Jones work, etc., etc. Sanskrit study of text for text purposes. Like what even the anthropological studies are relevant because it is superficial. The actual causal mechanics is in the Jiva and in the Mahabhuta. So that is what actually the action happens of ritual. Unless you have instrumentation to study it. Again, a lot of the anthropological studies are actually will cause more harm than good.
Thank you, Sudarshanji. I think we'll have to sort of. That's a good point on which you're done.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much for emphasizing what we sort of touched upon in the beginning: the Bhautika, the Devika, the Yagnika. All these perspectives are deeply integral in Vedic culture.